Hello and welcome to the Classical Now. I'm Will Fraser and tonight I'm joined by the saxophonist Isabelle Lapierre. Isabelle, it's lovely to have you with me.
I'm very happy to be here too.
Now tell me a little bit about the saxophone. Is the saxophone an instrument that we associate with classical music?
No, the saxophone is very much associated with jazz music, and there is not a lot of people doing a recital career with the classical music.
And when was the saxophone invented?
It was in 1845 by Adolphe Sax.
And what was he trying to do? Why did he invent this instrument?
Well, he wanted to save money, like the money is running the world. So he tried to do an instrument that was able to play as loud as a clarinet section, but instead to earn like 10 musicians, you earn 2, and it plays the same level. But he wanted to have something as fast with the virtuosity of a woodwind. So he made a woodwind in brass with a silent, not a silent, but a cone, like a brass instrument. So it gives a very loud and powerful sound, but we can play as fast as a woodwind. So that's really something in between the brass and the woodwind.
And was it successful? Did it take on quite quickly?
Yeah, I think the jazz musician just grabbed the instrument because it was for the French military bands. And the jazz musician grabbed this instrument because of I can say the dirtiness or the sensuality of the sound, because it's very, very sensual.
Now, when you're playing classical music, do you put all of that dirtiness or sensuality into your tone?
Not really, because I'm trying to have something very pure. That's why I have copper instruments. They have another sound that is less loud, more concentrate with the harmonics. But of course, there is something very specific with the saxophone.
You're playing a four-movement sonata by Georges-Philippe Telemann for us. And Telemann is a composer who, he may even be the most prolific of all composers. He wrote huge amounts of music, dozens of sonatas, hundreds of cantatas, and I think his total opus number goes up to about 2,000. So if he wrote such a lot of music, do you think these individual pieces are as good as composers who maybe wrote less but channeled more into those pieces?
I don't think so. If I take an example with Bach, I think there is no opus that is not wonderful or important.
So if the music is not as good as some other composers, why is it worth performing it? What do you get out of it, and what do you communicate to an audience?
Well, the music, it's just a pattern that a musician take to put out some emotion, some love, something, and the instrument is not important, and the piece not as important as we think. We can scrap something that is very well written, and we can do something wonderful with a piece that is medium original, because of the soul of the interpret. It's very important. That makes the difference. We need an interpret, we need a composer, and we need the public, and that makes something happen, I think.
You've got two saxophones on the table in front of you, and as far as I can tell, one of them is bigger than the other one. But aside from that, what's the difference between them?
The soprano, it's...
the soprano is the
little one? We can have a soprano very small, but with that form. That exists, but that sounds a bit jazzy, or... The straight one is more pure, so it's more easy to do some Baroque stuff on it. It
and
sounds
it's a bit
more
higher,
like
is it?
Yeah, it's smaller though, so higher.
If you were to perform a Baroque sonata on the saxophone with a piano, and perhaps in France, to an audience who are used to, you know, playing things on historic instruments,
They're
what would
going
they
to
say?
shoot me.
Okay.
Because there is a tradition that the early music is supposed to be played with early instrument, and people are very pure. Even a modern oboe, it's not good to do it. And I made a master class, and there was someone playing with an alto saxophone, a Baroque piece, and the teacher just said, "It's so easy now to learn other instrument. Why don't you learn the flute and just
forget about the saxophone."
Forget about the saxophone. I don't know. I think maybe in North America I can do stuff like that if I mix it with other stuff and I do a sort of demonstration of a few instruments and a lot of different repertoire. But yeah, but I think it depends where are we. How can I do that everywhere?
Do you think the contemporary world of classical music at the moment is a healthy world for composers who are alive today?
I think to do music without love, universal love, is useless for the composer or for the interpret, because there is something to bring with that that makes people feeling comfort or feeling great about it.
And do you think a lot of modern music does not have this emotion?
I think the repertoire for saxophone alone is very arid, very much.
Why?
Because it's not divide with punctuation with the harmony. So the punctuation is very difficult, and we need to split phrase and make it breath, but we don't have nothing else than the space and the instrument, and one note at a time. So it's more difficult to make it clear, and it can become very arid.
Do you think Bach could have written a solo piece with just one line and made it not arid, to have had all those harmonies in there, even if he's playing just one note at a time?
Yeah, because we hear it. Even if it's not there, we can hear it with Bach.
And so that's not the case with some of this modern music?
Yeah, because the harmony is different.
How can modern music for the saxophone be arid if the tone of the instrument is so rich and so emotional?
Because I think the modern composer doesn't use it. They use a lot of effect, like the multiphonic, the slaps, a lot of attack, a lot of... they divide the tone in a lot of different aspects, and I think it makes the saxophone get unnatural or denaturalized. But that's very personal, because I think there is so nice tone that we can use it while doing some weird effect or modern effect on this instrument.
You're playing a piece by Denis Bedard. He's a Quebecois composer who's still alive. Do you think he has written this composition with the sort of love and with a large audience in mind?
I think so. I think if there is one piece that is very pleasant and easy to listen, it's that Fantasie, and a lot of people play it very often because the soprano repertoire is worse than the alto one, because there is like few pieces. So when we get one piece that is good, we just grab it and play it all the time.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you feel when you play it?
I think when I play that piece, I need to go very far with the emotion and to do it in entire, not doing half of the emotion, because there is something romantic, a bit too sweet, that won't pass if we don't go very far in it.
Isabelle, thank you very much for joining me. It's been lovely to have you on the show.
I had a wonderful time here. Thank you very much.
I'm glad. And thank you for watching. I'm Will Fraser, and remember, the future of classical music is now. Good night.